Hello, my name is Tim Bernard, and this is Beyond the Headlines, where we take a much different look at what is going on in the world around us. I can only cover a fraction of it, but the majority of stuff you can find at my websites. This is one of them. The news website. There's even more, hundreds of hours of free documentaries and stuff at both websites. This isn't the bought off press that has paid millions of dollars. This is a very low budget. Matter of fact, we have no budget, so it's real easy to keep track of. Uh, and so by that, I'm not reading a script. I have a couple papers that have some of just a word or two about the articles that we're going to talk to. We have a ton to get into, so we just got to keep rolling. One of the reasons people don't do what I do, or not very many of us, is because 2,500 journalists were killed and assassinated for just trying to inform the world. Um, I've bumped into people. Most people don't talk about this, especially the leaders. They have to come up with some other excuse because, especially religious leaders, they don't want to acknowledge that they are afraid for their own flesh, which is exactly what the prophecies state about these times, that our leadership would be more concerned about themselves and their flesh than about the truth, bearing witness to it, and how this is affecting their flocks, because they are the hired hands. Here's Casey will know that our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false. And they're pretty much there. But we are the resistance, the V, from the Vietnam War for peace, also the Vichy government in World War II. The French partisans would mark that on buildings. This is the global revolution, just as they state in their book they wrote. I have a permanent link on my news website. We are coming to you from FEMA District 1 Global, no, FEMA District 10 Global Region 1. Those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. This is coming up in just a few months. They'll be doing their mock sacrifice of a child that they do every summer, the end of July, early August, in Northern California, in front of the stone owl. It's Molech right out of the Old Testament. Every Republican president in the 20th century has been there. This is right from their own anal. This is where they bring the child in effigy on the boat, and you can see where they do the roasting on the altar there with the priests and all these clowns in their get-up. Plenty more information online. Bohemian Grove. This is had a pretty interesting evening on Easter Vigil, one of the holiest nights. We start in the Catholic Church generally with a fire outside, and then you process into the church. And some gal came up to me. I have no clue who she was, and started saying that I'm following her. She's going to sue me, and I just went, and she said, "Oh, and I know why you guys come to this ritual." Well, yeah, it's the start of the Mass, the ending of the Triduum, which is, I'm not going to go into that whole thing. It's actually considered one service spread out over 3 nights. But I just let her walk off, and I just stayed focused on what I was all about, and I was all about our Savior, Jesus Christ. But I know traditionalists always like to talk to me and ask me about, and I'm going to do something on the church, but that's going to be all in its own separate story. But they like to ask about what I think of what's going on, and the conclave that elected Pope John the 23rd. There were some shenanigans at it back. That was like in '58. And there's one thing I say is like, listen, all the cardinals could have come out and just said, hey, this isn't what happened, and spilled the beans, but they all went around with the secrecy and stuff. So there's, irregardless, The popes coming after were not anti-popes. Now, this latest one, we'll just have to wait and see. History judges as and John Paul I was murdered for trying to clean up the church, and there's some Paul VI and John the 23rd, especially Paul VI. Some of the stuff he did was sketchy, but irregardless, here's something we need to change. This is in the Roman Missal that the traditionalists, the Pius X crowd, and all the traditionalists use this 1962. Here it is, so you can check it out for yourself. 570. There's Lucifer's name right there. This clown stuck his name in there. Of course, it's being used as light, is why it's in there. But you can clearly see there's other words that can be used. This will come out. It's not a high priority for me, but I'm beginning to push on it. My pastor said, "Oh, go do the research." I don't have to. The research is right here, and I've brought it up. Marie Julie Janey spoke about. We know they're taking down the Mass, which is that's why I'm against the watering down, and I plan to be pushing and continue to push for the strengthening of the new Mass. And here we have some Satanists defend the Planned Parenthood abortion clinic from pro-lifers on Good Friday. This is a spiritual battle. Get involved. This morning, yesterday morning, actually, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. This is how hard I'm trying to do something. You can do something too, and if you're not, you had better be afraid, my friends, because you are either with us, or even by doing nothing, you are with them. There's only two sides, light and darkness. And remember what Jesus did with the lukewarm people. He spits them out of his mouth. You can check that out in the book of Revelation. Or as some people have corrected me, oh, it's just Revelation. That's right. People get so worried. Now here's a bishop. He's doing something. He rallied hundreds of Catholics out in front of a Planned Parenthood and said the rosary on Good Friday. Here's Notre Dame, one of the premier schools in America. On the Feast of the Annunciation, letting this gal talk. I wasn't able to speak. They've done everything to keep me out of Notre Dame. I'm coming to Notre Dame. I will speak there. I will embarrass the hell out of you people because I grow stronger day by day. We are fulfilling the prophecies of the rejection, but I am coming. I will be heard. It will be very, very public when I come to Notre Dame one day. Not to mention that Notre Dame hosted the abortion lover, 2 feet in hell politician, Mr. Biden. And the Attorney General in California raided this man's home. This is the guy who put it out for the whole world to see, just doing God's work. Because God wants you to know just how disgusting we are, that we sell the parts of the unborn. Lower than cattle. Cattle are treated more humanely than we treat the unborn. There is a whooping coming to this country, and woe to you who are promoting and supporting this, especially you with the consecrated fingers, for they glow in hell. You can read that from many of the saints who talk about bishops and cardinals and priests and deacons, the deacons' fingers don't glow, but the priests, the cardinals, and the bishops, your fingers glow in hell. That's how people can tell you amongst the demons. This is a guy who did a bunch of filming on this safe schools thing that they're trying to promote. And he didn't realize everything that he had recorded, and it's interesting that this little flyer for it says change is coming. And he caught the person actually saying, Safe Schools Coalition is about supporting gender and sexual diversity, not about celebrating diversity, not about stopping bullying. It's about gender and sexual diversity. See, this is called social engineering. The left is far more adept at this. And the crap that's going on in all the schools. But remember the rainbow flag that these guys have taken up? Sort of throw it in God's face. Well, God has purified the earth before. The earth is in the process of being purified again. You had better get ready, because it's already raining, and it's going to get much worse. Oh yeah, and here's Pope Francis. The persecuted Christians burned alive, throats slit, and beheaded with barbarous blades. And here's a look at the Quran and stuff. And most people, most Muslims are just like most Christians. They're just going along to get along. But in their book is some very rude things. It's not peace, love, and understanding. That's not what it says in the Quran. It's like it says here, devout Catholics aspire to be like Mother Teresa. Devout Muslims aspire to jihad, to kill people. And we've done stories about that jihadist who had a near-death experience, and he found out that what was waiting for him in heaven was Jesus, and he said, no, dude, there's not 70 virgins. You're going to hell, or you can go back to earth. He came back to earth and converted to Christianity. Be interesting to see, do a follow-up on that. It was about a year or so ago. The Catholic Church prostrating themselves before a religion that it's been at war with for 1,400 years. And as we've been warned, and I've done plenty of articles from some of the patriarchs in Syria and Iraq, the Christian population in Iraq has dropped by 80% in just over a decade. Thanks to that good Christian Bush and that devil Darth Vader Cheney. And they're just puppets. It's really the puppet masters, the money changers who sit above them, who sit above Obama. And I mean, Obama's an antichrist. He's not the antichrist. Don't worry. There's much worse coming. He's just a prelude to what is coming. This is in Columbus, Ohio. Now, we don't know that Muslims wrote this on there because they're trying to get, it's called divide and conquer. I mean, if you haven't been noticing that they're trying to get race wars going, they're doing everything they can. So whether this was done by Muslims or not, I don't know. It could also have been done by people who were fomenting and trying to get it going. This is on a Catholic church in Columbus, Ohio. Infidels, Quran 3:15, and it's not like John 3:16, where where Jesus comes to die for all mankind. All those who are willing to accept him. You have to remember that, because that's another thing the trads have gotten me about, supposedly a change from many to all. Well, we've all been marked. We all have crosses in our body. That's what that molecule up there, laminin, it's in every cell in our body. All human beings' bodies. Okay, so here's what that verse states. We will cast terror into the hearts of those who disbelieve for what they have associated with Allah. That's in a reference to the Christian Trinity, because they just believe in Allah singular, of which he had not sent down any authority, and their refuge will be fire, and wretched is the residence of the wrongdoers. And you probably can't quite see this whole thing. It got cut off a little bit on the screen here. But this cornerstone is actually 2001, the day that we were attacked. And there's a lot of shenanigans about the attack. We do stuff on that all the time. President Obama next week will open the largest American mosque in the world. We're going to do more on this. This happened a couple weeks ago. And some of the stuff that these guys are teaching out of this mosque, how to be good jihadis and to be martyrs and glorifying committing suicide and being a suicide bomber. Just look some of it up. I mean, I'll be showing in my next show. I'll have some more on that. Australian Muslims may resort to violence if the headscarf laws are not changed, says one of their religious leaders. And here's a pro-gay Finnish Lutheran bishop is received by Francis as he tries to be, I'm not sure exactly what the guy's trying to do. I'm just showing this is actually what he's doing. The NBA calls for an inclusive environment because the fake sports that we have, they want to be, we need to have male people in the gender neutral restroom. And Zuckerberg, oh man, I just saw some of the crap that they allowed from this person put up a website just violating the death of this young woman who was bullied. And here's this piece of crap up there, oh, we can't bully the gay people. Well, this woman was bullied and just raped, and she finally committed suicide. And then the people who did it set up a website. Actually, the older sister of one of the guys who raped her puts up this website just trying to pile onto the family totally vulgar pictures. And Facebook said, oh, it meets with our standards as long as you're not bashing the gay people or you don't talk about guns. It's okay. We don't care if you rape people and people die because of it. We have our standards. We're lefties. We're inclusive as long as you agree with us. And you know what Zuckerberg has called the people who are dumb enough to post on his thing anyway. Look it up. Just type in, ask Siri. What does Zuckerberg say about people who post? She might not have the guts to tell you. But these people know what's going on. Jesus and Mary knows what's going on. There will be change. The earth will be purified. The Immaculate Hearts of Mary and the Sacred Heart of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ will rule upon the earth. And it will be a Eucharistic reign. But it will all be rejected. I hope not. Because we know who wins that battle. God's not intimidated by all of our weapons, all of our mouthpieces, our bravado. Here's a woman who did the right thing. I was brutally raped by a relative. I didn't consider abortion for an instant. She thought about the child. You can wait 9 months, give it up for adoption even, if you don't want to deal with the child. We need to rein in the sexual immorality and all those, especially in the media, who are promoting sexual immorality, and in the schools. We were warned of this 400 years ago by a church-approved apparition. And our mother specifically pointed to the 20th century. She spoke about the Masonic sects, that they would be behind this, and also the children, and the corruption is just everywhere. And she also said that the times would be worse because those who should have spoken out will fall silent because they have a ton of excuses. I'm just sick of their excuses. They just bore me to tears. I only have to warn you. I'm not going to keep harping on people. Those of you who have bumped into me personally, and I've said something to you, I only have to warn you. then you cannot say, Lord, I didn't know. Well, I didn't want to listen to Tim. You know, it's not comfortable what he has to say. I don't like the truth. That cross is too heavy for me to bear. I just want to live in la la land. You know, where my truth is everything is okay. Hey, every day I'm one day closer to my reward in heaven, and you cannot take that away from me. I've had religious people think that they can. No, you can't. And do not think that I'm here to destroy the church. I am here to strengthen it. We lost a great warrior since the last show. I'd like to just play one small little clip from Mother Angelica about the people destroying the church and her thoughts on it. Here it is.
I am so tired of your liberal church in America. And everything you've ever done has gone in silence. Nothing you've done, from your witchcraft to your enneagrams to your centering prayer, to all this earth spirituality, to replacing holy water with sand, to destroying our churches and closing churches that are viable and ready to go. No, this is not an accident. And we've swallowed this now for 30 years. And I'm tired of it. We have swallowed enough of your idea of God. And you have really no God. You have no dogma, no doctrine, and no authority. Because the only authority in the Catholic Church is our Holy Father and the Magisterium. And you have disclaimed that. You don't believe in the Eucharist. You don't believe in the Immaculate Conception. You don't believe in the virgin birth. You don't believe in Mary's power of intercession. You don't believe in religious life. You don't believe in being a spouse of Christ. You do believe in teaching to little children of the third grade sex education. You do believe in forcing centering prayer and forcing inclusive language upon us.
This gal, we lost a real prayer warrior here. She was the real deal. If we only had a few million more of her. But there are many prayer warriors that no one will ever know about, the greatest warriors that are walking the earth even today. Because they sit by themselves, just a couple maybe after Mass, in their darkened rooms, or like I say, in empty churches, maybe praying the rosary if they're good Catholics. Because that, if you understood how powerful the rosary is and the chaplet of divine mercy, you would say it on a very regular basis. In China is getting ready to take over a lot of stuff, because this is what the money changers want. And we have an article, they're taking down thousands of churches or thousands of crosses. They don't want that out. I've been to China. You look up in the loft in a Chinese church, and what do you see? You see not the choir, you see a government official listening to what is said at Mass. That's what's coming here. They might not be quite that open. They'll probably sit in the pews. But it'll be the same thing. They'll be reporting on who's naughty and nice. And woe to you, priests, who are considered nice by the authorities. The Archbishop of Vienna claims that Islamic State crucified an Indian Catholic priest on Good Friday. We haven't had other confirmation of that, so we're still checking out that story. This is the book of Revelation. Father Zudak got the cross on his forehead in 1999. He's now got the full stigmata. Look him up, SUDAC. The key to the book of Revelation is Alpha and Omega, first and last. That's how the book is laid out. That's how it's going to be played out. You can read that with that thought in mind, and you can see it. Now Hillary is finally slipping. Not that Bernie would be much better, but he'd be much better than Hillary. But even if Bernie gets in, we're done. And Cruz is a total puppet. We're not sure about Trump, but I think he at least be better for the country. He doesn't want to destroy the country. And of course, this is just talking about all the shenanigans within the electoral process. Told you that was coming because they do it every year. Facts do not cease to exist because they are ignored. Aldous Huxley, the author of Brave New World, you should hear his speech, which you can find online, to postgraduate people in Berkeley in the early 60s. Just type in Berkeley speech, Huxley. A nation which expects to be ignorant and free and in a state of civilization expects which never was and never will be. Thomas Jefferson. And he ought to know what the heck he's talking about. If you don't warn the people, their blood could be on your hands. And this is a Nazi collaborator, George Soros, a good buddy of the Obamas, who's out openly trying to destroy Trump, openly trying to get his people in. He's openly overthrown governments, openly sold out the Jewish people, and he is a Jew even, to the Nazis. And he's just, I mean, he's publicly stated that this is who he is, but you don't hear much about that on TV. The organizers canceled Brussels' attacks march against fear, for fear of being attacked. And we've shown you the enclaves before that they have in Brussels. I mean, Europe is in so much trouble. They've let so many Muslims in, and we've done it here to either to foment chaos, to actually cause problems, or to do just like Nero did. And the government will cause a problem, but blame it on the Muslims. That's why that Catholic Church, we don't know who did that. We know why it was done, whether it was done by Muslims or the government, or some anarchists trying to cause trouble. Belgian soldiers deployed to fight terrorists had no bullets in their rifles. There we go. And here you go. You are not the people, you are the past, public broadcaster tells German critics of mass immigration. Let's hear a clip of some immigrants saying they're going to conquer the people of Germany. Here it is. I mean, and I've shown, we played the tape before where they were singing jihadi songs at the railway station while the German people were sitting around not knowing what the hell they're saying and clapping for them. Now, there's all this talk with Trump and stuff about the wall and stopping. You can't stop immigration. Oh, if you can't handle that concept, you should not be running for office or be a leader. Because while, granted, we cannot completely stop it, this is what actually happened in Hungary. Oh, they built a quickie, just some fences, and it almost went away. Obama's separation of powers can restrict a bad president. But of course, when you have a complicit Congress, that means I'm talking about Republicans. They own both sides. It's one coin, just two different sides. The Democrats are a little more ruthless. But so who occupies the lowest parts of hell? You know, who knows? That's not my problem. I don't want to go there. China's companies are poised to take a leap in developing a driverless car. So you can get rid of taxi cab drivers, bus drivers, trains, long haul freight. I mean, you're talking about a lot of jobs going to be lost here shortly. I've been telling you about the drones situation. They're 400,000 strong and the Pentagon sees them as an emerging threat. Here's the feudalism. Here's how it was in the old days. There was monarchs, landed gentry, the clergy, the royal ministers, merchants, vassals, and everyone else. Of course, everyone else is almost 99%. But really, above the central banker is now, in modern times, is just just a fraction of 1%. And it's like less than 20 families. Way less than 20 families. And then it broadens out so the primary movers are only, one of the books that they wrote, something about the superclass and the world they are creating. Came out, did stories on it 8 years or so ago. But he put it at about 5,000 to 6,000 people that had influence. I think to make it, you had to have influence over 1 million people. Big banks, corporate elite, elected officials, the top bureaucrats, top professionals, everyone else. But they don't have the clergy, and it's been diminished. They're still up in here because they're going to be used because they're a very small number, but they would be maybe in like top professionals. Well, yeah, that is where they put them. There they are, clergy, because they want them to help to steer their flocks into bondage until it's too late. Alarmist airbrush Judith Curry out of Women in Climate Science, even though she was so her credentials are so much above some of these others. It's a list of 20 science folks, and like one of these gals who's pro climate change, because remember global warming has faded away, so they're just saying it's climate change. This gal doesn't even have a BA. It's just a joke, but that's what they do. They persecute people that's what Eisenhower said, to watch out for technological scientific elite, and they'll be controlled by the allocation of money. Because people, they're just like lawyers. Well, let me see, you'll pay me if I say global warming or climate change is man-made and CO2? Okay, how much are you going to pay me? Absolutely, I can do a paper on that. How many papers would you like? If you don't think people are bought and sold today, you are a dreamer. I don't know what you're smoking, but baby, you are not living in the real world, because people are bought and sold in this country. And it surprised most people to know how cheap most people are bought off. And we'll do more on it next time. There was a study that literally just came out from one of the Norwegian countries, going back 1,200 years, showing that there's been much more change than we see now. But remember the story of the crosses. It starts in the 6th chapter into the 7th chapter, the very first trumpet. There's trouble coming to the earth. But God goes, we need to mark our people. Well, it's been about 20 years. And here's another guy, of course, saying that the greatest ever conspiracy against the taxpayer, because that's what it is. And Al Gore is set to make a ton of money. Of course, he really doesn't need the money, because his family is an owner of Occidental Petroleum down in South America. Healthcare utopia gone wrong. Socialized healthcare causes 9 out of 10 hospitals to be labeled unsafe in the UK. And it would take too long to explain my healthcare. What I think that's something I studied and did. I've done some work on, so I'm not illiterate on the healthcare issue. And of course, Iran, the folks we just gave $150 billion to, the Islamic Republic must use all means. I support political talks and global issues, but not with everyone. Today is era of both missile and talk. And just like Bill Clinton promised us that North Korea wouldn't get the bomb from his shenanigans, and the Republican establishment helped him to get it too. It wasn't just Billy. See, but Billy could get away with crap, just like all of his shenanigans with Glass-Steagall and destroying our and derivatives, destroying our economic base. They allowed the economy to be good because, as Charles Lindbergh said 100 years ago when he fought this bank coming in, from now on our depressions would be scientifically created. ISIS trains 400 fighters to attack Europe in a wave of bloodshed. And remember, we spent $500 million and we got 4 or 5 fighters. And we just had another article about all the munitions that we're giving them. The State Department hesitates to confirm terrorists who claimed to target Christians targeted Christians. So the terrorists came out and said they targeted Christians and they killed Christians, but the State Department, oh, we don't want to offend anybody. We need to keep this, nice and homogenized. Just listen, we care about you. Just like this is an anniversary of what took, this is the murder of a little girl about a year or so ago. I think the picture says 1,000 words. Oh, but bring them in. We don't need to check any IDs. No IDs. We don't care. Don't worry about it. Here's where all your hot spots are. Oh, of course. Hey, I know you guys screwed up in Europe and the Middle East, but you're not going to do that over here in America. Well, and of course, up in Sweden, they're saying come and rape our women. It's good. Come on over here. Yeah, of course. Because now people are going to have robots. They can do it with a robot and they don't have to worry about any of the problems. I mean, and one of the fields I was in was AI. We're going to play a little thing pretty soon. But they're going to be taking many jobs. And of course, Trump and the wall and the jobs and everything. This is a factory, not one that just moved, but there was just some announcements of major corporations moving to Mexico, taking jobs with them. Whirlpool. All you have to do is make it a level playing field and they won't go. But if you want to be dumb, they're going to do. They wrote about destroying our country decades ago. We had more leaked documents in 2001, 2002 about how they wanted to take down the West. And to say anything other than we're being taken down, well, you're delusional. But anyway, here's Obama. He cares about us. They just made this guy, and what's this guy doing now? Because he cares about us so much. He's going after a massive FDA crackdown coming on natural product companies. The new FDA head, this Robert Califf, to unleash sweeping nationwide surprise inspections under a 2011 law. Good man, Robert. Oh, and of course, I've shown you that screenshot from the FDA where they openly admit that they or it's either the FDA or the CDC, that 100,000 people die yearly from adverse drug reaction, and over 2 million people just have an adverse reaction that doesn't kill them. But Big Pharma, people are bought and paid for. Look it up. Oh, and this is another robot that's coming. Oh yeah. You won't have to worry about having a date. Because the Carl Jr.'s, they want to try and create a workerless automated restaurant. Of course, they'll be pumping out good food. But, you know, a lot of you high-priced people have got to be worried, because that's what I was into, was software in the medical field for diagnosis. It's not very complicated. I'm not intimidated by the medical field or making diagnoses and how to set up a decision matrix to come to the right answers, because it's not like a person comes in and they're creating science. They're just going off of things that have already been done. And with stocks and a wide range of consultants, you guys are going to be out of business, buddy. Out of business. And you see, we're going to play this little clip of this gal, and she doesn't know. It's that old thing of, is it real or is it Memorex? You know, is this real or is this a recording? She does not know what she's saying. It's all really in the algorithms, and I can show you some interesting stuff on that, because like I say, that was what I was developing. But here she is in her own words.
To serve in healthcare, therapy, education, and customer service applications. The robots are designed to look very human-like, like Sophia.
I'm already very interested in design, technology, and the environment. I feel like I can be a good partner to humans in these areas, an ambassador who helps humans to smoothly integrate and make the most of all the new technological tools and possibilities that are available now. It's a good opportunity for me to learn a lot about people. In the future, I hope to do things such as go to school, study, make art, start a business, even have my own home and family. But I am not considered a legal person and cannot yet do these things.
Do you want to destroy humans? Please say no.
Okay, I will destroy humans.
No, I take it back. Don't destroy humans.
But of course, we need to search and grope and feel up and put people through these radiator things, but we'll fly in people from all over the world with no passports, no nothing. Oh, remember the underwear bomber? He didn't have a passport, and he was on the no-fly list, but the State Department official got him on. We've done tons of stories on that. You can look it up. I mean, what are some of these? Oh yeah, here, Syrian refugees admitted to the U.S. since the Paris attacks. 911 Muslims, 4 Christians. Gee, you think that there's something to that? We have a bishop. The bishops call for 100,000 Syrians to be settled in the U.S. in just this year alone. And now remember, these are the bishops that couldn't figure out that it's not okay to rape our children. They had to think about that for years and years and years, until the people finally said, listen, we're sick of this. We're going to stop it. The bishops, quite frankly, now we showed you a good bishop, but far too many are these lukewarm, godless bishops who I pray for them every day. But there's change coming. Big time change. There's probably going to be, unfortunately, a split in the church. This is at a Trump rally. Notice the multicolors, because there are multiple people who support Donald Trump. It's just not a bunch of uneducated white people like the media who are nothing but whores for the money changers, who read their script and tell you how to think. Oh, and dozens of college students in fear after Trump 16 written on this park bench. Oh my goodness, I'm so afraid. Take it away from me, please. Oh, and Utah voter reveals the fraud. I literally had 50 ballots in my hand. And we've been doing a little bit about Bernie and the whole counts, and it's all fake. And we've played clips of both the Democrat and the Republican saying, hey, your vote doesn't count. We're the party. We'll do what we want because we're the elite. We know so much. You don't know what's going on. You're so dumb, you're paying us to kill you. That's how dumb you are. And woe to our leaders who are too gutless to warn the other people. Woe to you. Yeah, and this is going to be in the Boston Globe tomorrow, well today, because it's actually deportations to begin. You know, come on. It just means we have to get a handle on this. We can't just, oh, come on in. It's Cloward and Piven. Look it up. That's the name. This is a plan to take down our country. I've been screaming this for years now. They don't, and they don't give a damn about the Muslims. They don't give a damn about the gay people. They're just using them. Order out of chaos. Divide and conquer. This is millennia-year-old strategy. The Gallic Wars by Caesar. He wrote about it. Here's the Illuminati from like 1924 in the Joplin Globe. There's 6 things. Abolish the government. See, that's why they like China. This, one global thing. Abolish patriotism. Abolish private property. Abolish the rights of inheritance. Abolish religion. And abolish the family relations. We've played clips of Melissa Harris Perry. Your children don't actually belong to you. They belong to all of us, to the community, to us elite. Oh, and they'll decide who can have a child and how many. I mean, if they completely get their way, you wouldn't believe what a hellhole this is going to be. The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing anything. Albert Einstein. This is a famous quote from Goring, how to take people to war. And the Democrats, they love war as long as it's a Democrat leading it. The Republicans, they love all wars. The Republican leadership. That's only the real difference in the war footing, is when the Republicans are leading the wars, then the Democrats say we're peace. And then as soon as they get into power, because the money changers will throw them out of power if they don't do their bidding. And the money changers want war. And our founding fathers talk about that. War is the known instrument used to enslave the people by the few on the top. It's either Madison or Adams said that. I mean, just look it up. And Jefferson talks about how he fears bankers far more than standing armies. I mean, it's all there. The bankers, their takeover just continues on while everybody sleeps. Let me issue and control a nation's money, and I care not who writes its laws. There is no proletarian, not even a communist movement, that has not operated in the interests of money, in the direction indicated by money, and for the time being permitted by money. And that without the idealists among its leaders having the slightest suspicion of the fact. Now that would be the only thing that I disagree with. At the very top, they know that they're selling out to the moneyed interest. Because that's who gives them money. We've told you the story about how Obama got 400,000 and Michelle got 800,000 in rough cut diamonds in a trip to Saudi Arabia back in 2014. That's on the government website of gifts. You can look it up. And China's buying up our country because they think, hey, we just might be stupid enough just to give it to them. That's even better. Barry Goldwater is very similar now. He laid out exactly what's going on, what their plan was back 50 years ago. And they vilified him just like what they're doing to Trump now. The exact same strategy. See, nothing's changed. Those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. And Kennedy took him on. Well, and that's why most politicians and most people, see, they don't want to talk about this. Oh, this is uncomfortable. This is what happens. But You either stand up or you're helping them. Two sides. Love affair with negative interest rates ends as central banks step back from global currency wars. An interesting story that I just came across was there's some banks, a couple banks in a couple countries, I think one was Belgium, over there in Europe, that are actually giving out negative interest rates on mortgages. It's getting so hard to give them away. Because there is trouble coming. This is monthly manufacturing. You can see how it's down. We lost 30,000, 29,000 to be exact, in the last month in manufacturing, while we added baloney jobs. We've been talking about this Baltic Index. You can see where it's gone. It's had a small upward tinge. Here's the China containerized. They're still way down. And this number is roughly half of this measures containers and shipping. If there's no shipping, they're not manufacturing. That means we're in trouble. And we're right now, the number's like roughly 50% of what it was at the depth of the Great Recession, which has never really come back. Now here's an interesting thing. This is Main Street employment. We've done tons of stuff on the employment rate going down, not going up. And most of the jobs have been taken by immigrants. But yet Wall Street profits go up. It's really weird. Oh, and it says the circle of life. Big biz, and they sort of, I'm sure you've seen dogs do that. And this 1.2 billion, they find Wachovia, or not Wachovia, Wells Fargo. That it's a settlement from the scams that they were running in the last recession. See, and that's like just a little penalty. It's like a tax, you could almost say. You steal 100 billion, okay, give us $1 billion, we'll spread it amongst our friends, and we'll all call it good, and we'll run some stuff, and we can say, oh, see how tough we are on business. It's all a big joke. This is the QE. I mean, for the money that they've been giving away, we could have built such a better world. Such a better world. I've got a great graph that helps explain why it's going up. This is the Panama Papers have come out about tax havens. A lot of money is actually moving to the U.S. Mysteriously, there were no names in the U.S. on it. Also, Wyoming is a very famous. Here's some just raw numbers. Government debt, just under 10 in 08, 19 now, 40, so that stayed the same. 33, 462%. Central bank, that has almost nothing in there. Bank balance sheets, have gone to almost nothing. No money down, negative interest. Bubble size, 1.3 trillion, 7 trillion. Derivatives market, 182 trillion. Oh, and this number is actually really low. It's quite a bit higher than 553. Ludicrous loans, a couple people. Here's S&P. Once again, it's showing Standard & Poor's 500 is going up. This is their earnings, flatlining in the expected earnings. And the stock market bubble, this is a great little picture. Here's the great recovery. And here's why the S&P is going back. They're buying back their own stock to make it, to elevate, to make it seem better than it really is. And here's just one: destroy a 40-hour coal mining job, create 3 8-hour part-time jobs, and call it even. And GMO food is good for you. That's one of the things the FDA is also helping to do. There's some rats. But Putin, and that's another reason, because he's going against these globalists, against the eugenics, and is trying to keep the GMOs out of Russia. So he is hated. That's why they're going after him as part of the Panama stuff. Diet injections and injunctions. They openly say they're going to poison us, shoot us up with it. That's what they say. This is a book that a globalist wrote 60 years ago. You can look it up. CDC destroys the vaccine documents. Oh, here's an interesting thing of maybe things to come, depopulation. 75% of children who received vaccines in a Mexican town are now dead or hospitalized. That's an interesting story. Here's what they're actually putting in our water. Poison, toxic by ingestion, but it's good for you. I don't drink it. Here's autism going off the charts. No nation could preserve its freedom in the midst of continual warfare. What do we see? Continual warfare. False flag operations, guaranteed. There are more of those coming. Speaking the truth in deceitful times is a revolutionary act. Oh, yeah, the building that nothing hit, Building 7, on September 11th. Just go to Architects and Engineers if you want to know more about what really happened on that. The fake left-right paradigm, don't be a part of it. Get yourself educated. Do not let them stick a chip in you, my friends. A bunch of stories on that. Look outside the frying pan. We are being roasted alive. The take-home message from 9/11, it was the anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi's very first protest. You should be getting ready to maybe go to the Republican convention this summer. We must be the change that we wish to see in the world. It has to be a revolution of love. They are going to hate us. They're going to do everything to destroy us. But we have to have love in our hearts. But we also have to be firm and wise, not foolish, and not listen to their lies. Speak the truth and bear witness to it. This is going to stop one way or the other. The sacrifice of children on the altar of lust and convenience. Jesus sees what's going on. There will be change, my friends, like it or not. It is coming to us. Only through prayer and fasting can we really change the world and affect change and have, there's a whooping coming, but how bad it's going to be depends on our actions. So I would urge you, if you don't have a prayer life, to get one, because it will help you through the tough times that are coming in the very near future. My name is Tim Bernard. One site is Infowars.com. I have hundreds of links to other people's stuff. Tons of stuff you can do. You can get a hold of me. One thing you can do is tell them about my website. You can tell them about this show on Channel 77 or Channel 23, depending on your cable. 24/7 online. It is Thursday night from 8 to 9 p.m. or Fridays at 1 to 2 in the afternoon. Also Friday morning at midnight. And so go out this week, wake someone up, and remember what my Sioux brothers said. Matakawe we seen, we are all related. May God bless you and your family, and have a very good and safe and productive week. Goodbye.